Okay, here we go. Ready? I think we're live, so we're going to go ahead and
All right.
we'll go with
Show them
it.
the.
All right, we went with 20 seconds on that one. I didn't. I kind of like the one with the old pictures of you and me in there.
I do like that. Matter of fact,
But
I had some people comment to me. They're like, "Oh, I like your picture."
how cute.
Yeah,
We
you're
were
so
cute
sweet.
once. Now we're just damn handsome.
I had more hair back then. Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Ron here, always from Las Vegas, Nevada, with my brother
Mike from Amarillo. Good to have you here.
Amarillo. Moo. So,
So,
Mike and I don't know if you guys know or not, but we chat offline for, 15, 20 minutes every time, just talking about, life events and stuff, and also about what to talk about on the podcast. We were kind of unsure what to talk about this week, but we're just going to kind of chop it up and riff it and see what comes of it. And one of the things that was brought up was I told Mike here in Vegas, it's been raining for the last couple of days. And people in Vegas do not know how to drive in the rain. It's bad enough that the city is growing so much. There's orange cones everywhere. I swear the pylon is the national flower, state flower here. You can't drive a highway or a street without having construction somewhere. So add that on top of the rain, dude. There are so many accidents everywhere. It's just ridiculous in Vegas right now.
it sort of surprises me, but maybe it shouldn't because do you think it's locals that don't know how to drive or, people that maybe haven't been there for that long? I mean, you've been there for what, 30 years or more?
23 years.
About 23. So by this time, you know what you're doing. But,
we grew up in Colorado, so driving in snow and slippery conditions is kind of second nature. But these guys just, and here's what the one thing you have to understand about Vegas: when it rains here and it cools, all that oil comes up from the streets and it makes it like black ice. I mean, it's slippery as hell. And these MFers just come blowing through it like it's nothing.
See, and I told Ron here in Amarillo, we don't know how to drive anyway, so it's a moot point. Doesn't matter if the roads are dry or what. They don't give a shit. They don't know how to drive here anyway. Stop signs and yields, they're just suggestions. It's a challenge.
Yeah, that's a suggestion.
That's all it is. Red light.
So that could bring up a good question too. Where you grew up and the time that you grew up in, what were some of the things or challenges you remember as driving? I can remember as a kid growing up in Colorado, man, driving in the snow. That could definitely be a challenge. And I lived in the snow for the majority of my life between Colorado and then Utah. And then before I moved here, I lived in Lake Tahoe where, it snowed a lot. Like there were times it snowed like 8 feet in a weekend. I mean, it was always a challenge as a kid growing up, learning. I mean, kids that come from Vegas or California, if they had to drive in the snow, God help us.
I think that's what helped us was growing. We both grew up pretty much in Colorado Springs. And so my joke was always, look, Daddy had a snow shovel. It was called Mike and Ron. So that was his snow removal system. And sometimes he would make me go do other people's driveways just to be nice. But, you had to learn how to drive in that. Here, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's maybe I'm not kidding you. People here have just gotten totally nutty. And it doesn't matter what the weather's like. And I'm not kidding. Stop signs and, signal lights, traffic signals.
Sure.
That's more of a challenge than, than abiding by the law. So I feel for you. I mean, I get it. Back in our day, of course, Colorado Springs isn't what it was when we were kids. People back then, I think knew how to drive. In the snow. And in fact, back in that day, remember things called snow tires?
Oh yeah. And studded snow tires.
Yeah, studded snow tires, baby.
So I'm going to tell you a little story about that. Remember the Mustang that Mom used to have? Little two-door silver Mustang?
Yeah.
So this thing was a little 6-cylinder. It wasn't a hot rod by any means, but I remember mom and dad bought it. They bought it from like, Avis Rent a Car, used car sale or something. And so I was of the driving age. So they were living down off Kingsley, and it had just got finished having the winter time. And so, but it still had the set of snow tires on it. So I was out in the car and I was at a stop sign and I was power braking it. So I, hold my foot on the brake and hit the gas and get the wheel spinning. And then I got out and I noticed, man, look at that. It like dug fucking the tar up, like the asphalt up with these snow tires. So long story short, I ended up owing dad a pair of snow tires
Yeah.
because it literally just nubbed up the freaking. I don't know if you guys know what studded snow tires are or not, but they literally have little studs in the rubber. And
Yep.
yeah, by the time I got done with it, they were not studly at all.
So what else you want to do tonight? We were talking before we started the podcast. We were talking about remembering. We were just reminiscing. I actually had a friend use the word ruminate on me last week. Michael J, I've been ruminating. Really? I haven't heard that in forever.
Are you smelling the colitas also?
He's way younger than I am, but he used the word ruminating. And but we were just kind of sharing back and forth. For somehow we got talking about gas stations, and I just thought, do you remember going to a gas station and it had an attendant? Somebody would come out and fill her up, or how much do you need? Can I check under the hood? But when you think about, and I asked Ronnie this, and I know we've only got a couple of people on right now, and there'll be some joining in later, and they'll watch after we're done tonight. But when you think about, if you remember those days of full service gas stations, I'm going to ask you this right now. What's the first thing you think? What's the first thing you hear when I mentioned full service gas station? Ronnie got it right out of the box, and I hear it right now. What is it?
As soon as I said it, Mike was like, "Oh yeah, I hear it right now." Yeah, but as soon as you guys say it or somebody says it, you'll never get that sound out of your head.
No, even now I can hear it.
Yeah,
but I did. It's the ding ding of when you pull over that air hose or whatever it was that went back into the building, and that's how they knew to come out.
Well, Mike had asked when the last time I had that experience, and I told him I was driving back from Missoula, Montana, and this was a few months ago, and I had to stop and get gas, and it was in some little podunk town in the middle of nowhere. And in today's day and age, we're just not used to that anymore. We're not used to that level of service anymore. And I told Mike it scared the crap out of me because I'm standing looking. I'm at the door of my truck, so I can see behind me from the reflection of my window. And I see this guy coming, walking up behind me, like walking up to me hot. And I just kind of quickly turned around, and he's like, "Can I check your fluids? Can I do this?" And I'm like, kind of looking around, like, "Am I in the freaking Twilight Zone here?" But yeah, it was just odd. He
Am
came
I on some sort of a hidden camera show?
Yeah, I was like, "Where's the cameras?" But yeah, he came out and cleaned my windows, wiped the bugs off the front of my car, and and then I went to give him like $5 for a tip or something. He's like, "Oh no, sir, it's part of the service." I'm like, "Shit, well, you're not from Vegas."
Wow. I didn't think those places existed anymore.
No, you have to be in some pretty small podunk parts of the world to get that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, I think that goes across the board with any type of service related industry. I mean, in my opinion, it's just kind of it's changed so dramatically over the decades, and what we're used to as we were kids or young adults watching parents and family and friends go out to dinner or going to the store, and that level of service, even going to. I remember as a kid going to Furr's Cafeteria. Do you guys remember Furr's Cafeteria?
Mm-hmm.
And even the people behind the counter at Furr's, hey, can I get you some of that? Oh, that's kind of old. Let me get you a fresh one. Let me get this for you. Let me do that for you. Now living in Vegas, I mean, even the buffets aren't that really popular here anymore. But it wasn't like that. You just get up there, you slop your food on your plate, and away you go. There was no service related anything to it.
Furs, when mom and dad used to take us to Furs, and again, we've said this 100 times, when we went out to eat, it was an absolute special treat.
Oh
It
yeah,
just, that wasn't an everyday thing. That was once in a while we got to do that. And it always struck me as odd. Do you remember the Furs in, I think it was Rustic Hills Mall?
Rustic Hills Mall. Yeah,
And what was the unique feature about it?
I don't remember.
It had a piano player.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That is right.
They had somebody in there playing
Oh,
piano.
lounge lizard.
Yeah. So it was so and I always thought, if we were someplace and they had like piano playing, I thought, oh my God, this must be an uppity up kind of a place. It must be one of them high class buffets.
Got a cigar. We're going. Yeah.
I'm expecting Cousin Eddie to come out anytime.
Oh my God. So that again, we talk about drawing emotions out of people or drawing memories out of people, and me just saying a guy having a cigar just brought up a memory. I can remember as a kid, Mike and I have said this 100 times. We grew up with Archie, who was our stepdad, who was dad to us, and I have my dad, Dell, who I loved and hung out with and got to spend time with him as well. But I would go and spend my summers with my dad wherever he lived in New Mexico and stuff. And I remember being on a Travelways or Greyhound bus where people were smoking on the damn bus.
Yep.
I mean, I remember even airlines having the smoking section on the airplane. I mean, nowadays it's no smoking anywhere, which is, I like it because I don't smoke.
Yeah, I'm good with it.
Being a kid on a bus for 7 or 8 hours with people smoking on it, it's like, good God.
One of the worst trips I've ever taken was on a bus. And it was between, I think, Colorado Springs and Omaha, Nebraska. I can't even remember what the hell I was doing.
I was just going to say, what the hell are you doing in Nebraska?
Maybe I was on my own little trip.
Yeah, but, maybe I didn't really go on the bus.
But here's what was wacky about it. I'm trying to, I'll come up with the reason I was doing, but it was going Colorado Springs to Omaha. And we had to stop in Denver. And there was like this forever layover in Denver. What happened is a bus had broken down somewhere around Boulder, so we had to wait for it to get there. Well, everybody that was on that damn bus was coming from a Grateful Dead concert.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we get the thrill of them coming onto our bus, and it wasn't pretty, man.
Oh my God.
There was the girl that sat next to me was emaciated, just looked like crap. And so we stopped somewhere. I can't remember what it was, but it was a truck stop, started with a B, Bozeman, something like that. Anyway, and so the bus driver saw this poor girl and bought her, I think, a sandwich and some orange juice and demanded that she sit there and drink and eat whatever he gave her. Oh, because it was just bad. But yeah, they were, and you know where they were going? They're all going. They're going to end up in Denver, or not Denver, Dallas. That's what they were. Deadheads. They were following the Grateful Dead, and that was where the next show was going to be. Was in Dallas.
That's
brutal. But it was, it was. I could not wait to get the hell off that bus. It was disgusting, man. It was gross. So yeah, it's. I think that's the only time I've ever been on a bus.
Oh man!
And last time, pretty sure.
Yeah, I took many bus rides, especially when I, like I said, go see my dad. And, the one thing I remember also was every time I would come back, my dad would always go down and buy me a bag of oranges. And that was my snack to eat on the ride from New Mexico.
Just in case those deadheads get on there.
Amen. Yeah, share with your friends, man.
Give them an orange, son.
They don't want one, just chuck it at them.
They're going to be gross. They're going to be gross. But yeah, that's getting back to the gas station thing. Did you ever? I mean, hey, do you remember up above us in Colorado Springs, up there on Carefree, was a gas station, and I think it was owned by. I think it was owned by. I want to say Chris Bebb. Not him, but his family owned it.
Hmm.
Is just doggone it. It was a little gas station, but I think I worked there, off and on just to get some, little coin, little something to go spend. But I ended up at one time I worked at a Vickers gas station in Cherry Creek,
Vickers.
Colorado.
Wow. I've heard that in a
And
minute.
yeah, I was telling Ron before we went on tonight that the doggone thing, like I said, is in Cherry Creek, and is right on a busy thoroughfare. And so, yeah, anytime you'd hear that ding ding, my job was to jump up like a good boy and go out there in my coveralls and fill that gas up, do whatever they wanted me to do. But there was a Kentucky Fried Chicken that was right next door. To this day, I'm going to tell you something. I can still feel the weather out there. I'm still wearing that overall, that cover deal. I can still smell Kentucky Fried Chicken.
And
And every night I went home, I smelled like gasoline and Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Here's a combo for you.
God, it was horrible. I hated that job. I really did.
What was the first job you actually liked when you were younger?
First one I really dug was probably Soda Straw. Soda Straw or Swenson's. Because I got
working at Swenson's. I remember Soda Straw because I do remember a Soda Straw. You talk about pianos. They had the little playing piano.
Player.
They used to play
Yeah.
that I do remember.
But no Soda Straw, but Swenson's. I got lucky. I mean, I got to be one of the first ones hired at that Village Inn I told you about last week. Swenson's was the same thing. We had to go through training there, and we got to open up that store. So I had some pretty good, as Mike Myers would say in Wayne's World, I had some good Joe jobs before before I got into radio. Not all of them. I mean, I had some really wonky jobs, but
Man, I think we all
those
did.
ones I didn't. Those ones I didn't mind. The lumber yard I didn't really care for. I've already told you that one. But I tell you, my first introduction to the working world was a paper route.
Oh yeah.
In
I
fact,
actually think I remember that.
the I don't know what they were called back then, district manager or whatever it was the lady that lived next door to us. Before who it was. I mean, the kids that moved in afterwards. Before then, there was Tom and Gretchen Shook.
Yeah, I do remember that.
There, he was like an Air Force captain, and but yeah, she was my district manager for I think it was the Gazette Telegraph.
Oh, paper boy.
Yeah, it was actually kind of fun. I mean, trying to earn all the little prizes and stuff they used to give away. So yeah, that was my first introduction into the working world.
Still looking for a job I like. Yeah, right. I remember.
Keep looking, Jubal.
I think one of my worst jobs. I was in Denver, where my son Ron was born. So this had to have been 1990, and couldn't find a job, and so I went to an employment agency. And Ron was born in June, so let's put it that way. And all they had was a hot tar roofing position.
Yeah.
So I'm up there sweating balls, man, just on this roof. I think I lasted 3 days, and finally I'm just like, there's not enough money for me to be on a roof in June in Denver with 300-degree tar mopping this shit out like I'm, swing low.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
make a break here, boss.
Yeah, just not happening. So yeah, I think that's probably one of my worst ones.
Yeah, I can tell you
I think one of my favorite ones, I was the director of surveillance and security for a casino in Lake Tahoe. And I was young, man. I was in my 20s. So for me to have that position was a lot. It had to do a lot with the man that was a GM there, who was one of my mentors in life, a guy named Bob Aronson. Just he was nothing short of a father figure to me. And enjoyed it. It was I learned a lot. It was a good life experience. And again, this was probably mid 90s, early to mid 90s.
Like I said, I've had a lot of Joe jobs. I've had some jobs I've liked. But it got me while you're talking. I was thinking on my radio show tomorrow. What I'm going to talk about is kind of what we're talking about now. Jobs back in the day, or even the application process. We've talked about that before here, because I came across a story, and I can't remember what the source was, but has to do with a Gen Zer. I think she's 26 years old, and she apparently is trying to find a job, but the story behind her search basically amounts to she went and had about 15, 20 copies of her resume printed up, and she just started going knocking on doors, trying to find a job. And, as she got down to like her last 5 resumes, she breaks out her phone like they do and starts basically recording a video crying about how she can't find a job. I'm educated. I've been to school. I've got a college degree, but nobody will hire me. And she talks about the fear factor of walking in with a resume. And I'm just thinking, you poor child.
That was the norm.
I mean, really, fear factor. There's your first problem.
Yeah,
is you got to get over that shit.
yeah.
I mean, I don't, and I've told you before, the first radio job, the real radio job I ever got was at KRDO, and I was at that damn station every day for about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks, to the point to where about the midway through the second week, the program director actually came out and said, "Look, you just did one of these, where am I at here? Come here, follow me." And we went to his office, and he sat me down. He says, "Look, I don't have an opening, but I've got to give you a job, so you'll leave me the hell alone." And that's how I got my job at KRDO. Look, there was no fear factor. You walk in, and I just, when I read this story, it really just, and here's the other thing that's going to happen, right? So she posts this damn thing on TikTok, and it gets, and this news outlets boasting about, and she's had 26 million views. Well, of course she's had 26 million views, because that's where they go. They go there to fucking whine about how the world's unfair and nobody will give me a job. And I'll tell you the other thing that's going to happen. She's going to get job offers.
I was going to say, she'll get a job.
Yeah, that's how this thing works. So I'm really kind of thinking about, and I might need your help, little brother. I'm kind of thinking about, I might do my own video. I'm going to stand in front of my phone and bawl my ass off. I had to close down a business, and I had to go get a job, and now I have bills to pay and shit. I'm 62. I ain't got this kind of fucking time.
I need a GoFundMe page.
I'm gonna see if I can get somebody to come fund my ass.
I got to tell you, look, I understand when people need help, and we all do it at some point in time or another, but I had not even a kid. He was a guy that worked for me. He had to be maybe in his late 30s, early 40s. And I don't pay my guys half bad compared to what the industry standard is for what they do. They get paid pretty well. And this guy just quit showing up for work. Didn't show up for like 3 or 4 days. And then I get a Zelle request from this guy for $50 to help pay his phone bill. Just
wow.
I'm like, hold on. So let me get this right. You don't show up to work for 3 days, but you want me to send you $50. You probably could have made $600 if you would have showed up for 3 days.
My head was,
but I'm like, I'm like, oh my God, I can't even believe.
Did you hustle that 50 over to him, brother?
Absolutely. Man, I send them 50 a week just for the hell of it.
Did you?
But yeah, it's pathetic. I mean, people to have that fear factor of, I mean, shit, I remember walking around not door to door, but business to business. Hey, do you have an application? Hey, do you have an application? Hey, do you have an
Yep.
application? Hey, do you have an
Yep.
application? And that's how you found a job. It
And
wasn't
right.
the technology today, and look, don't get me wrong. I think the way technology works for a lot of things is fantastic. I do think it takes away some of the humanness of a lot of things, especially when it comes to things like that. Now, when I hire people, I tell them I want to meet you. I don't want to see your Facebook page. I don't want to see your TikTok video. I want to meet you,
No.
And yeah, that may be old school and that may be old fashioned and it may not be the way things are done today, but that's the way I want it to be. And I was talking with a client of mine today and he had made a comment of, well, what your past is going to be the next future is passed down the road. And I get that. And they can talk about their own shit when it's their time to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's my time to talk about it right now.
I mentioned earlier the paper route. And when you think about it, think about what a paper route did. I had to go get my own customers. There's a base, when you get the route, there's a base set of customers. But if you want to make more money, you go out and you get more customers. Now, at the end of the month, what did you have to do? I had to go collect that money.
Yeah.
Nobody did. So here's this, 13, 14, 15-year-old kid out there going door to door, knocking on doors, ringing doorbells, collecting that money because you had to pay for your papers.
Yep.
So when you think about the paper route, it really is your first foray into, the world of business.
How to run a business. Sure.
It really is business 101. So not only did I have to apply for the job, which was pretty easy, but every other
next door and apply.
Yeah, just next door. Hey, Mrs. Shook, can I get a job? But every other aspect of it, now that I think about it, is really business 101. You grew the business. If you wanted to make more money, you go get more customers. At one time, I think I was actually running 2 routes. And then at the end of the month,
Big
you had
baller.
So there you go.
The client I was talking to today kind of made a point, and I wanted to pick your brain about it. But he's like, we grew up, baby boomers, Gen Xers, we all grew up in an age where it was noble to work yourself to death, basically.
Mhm.
Get up, you go to work, you work, and hopefully to make enough money to enjoy 3 years of your life when you're ready to retire. And I think that's a large part of what the changing trend is, I always use the term work smarter, not harder. And I think that's what's happening here. These young people and kids are learning how to use technology and the internet and sales and what have you to not have to go out and do the things like what I do. I do physical labor stuff. I build things, I repair things, but it's what I do. It's what I know. I've done sales before. My partner and I still own a real estate company here in town. I don't want to do sales. I want to do this. And it's literally, it's a dying art, what we do, as far as the construction and handyman stuff, because nobody wants to do it anymore.
No. See, I, on the other hand, sit on my ass all day and talk for a living. That's that's why I say in that little book, you obviously paid attention. I didn't.
Well, you know what, Mike? Sooner or later, we're all going to be replaced by AI anyway. So what the hell?
Oh my God, we were talking about that today on the show a little bit. Do I have any fear of AI? And in some cases, yes, I do, because AI already possesses the keys to be able to kick me out of my job.
Sure.
I have, in fact, I'll send you a copy. I'll do something for you and send it to you. I have access to an AI generator that I can create actual people, and you'll never guess. I mean, you'll swear to God they're real people.
That's scary.
And what's really scary about it is we were playing around with it, and there's an aspect of it where you can't now because I'm getting over the flu, so I have no voice. But I can play part of a show and then stop it and then tell the generator, I want to do a show about gas stations, about working at a gas station. It will take my voice recognition and generate a show based on working at a gas station, and you'll swear it's me.
You want to know
That's
the
how
scary part about that? I don't know if you know what's going on, but it's been going on where people are taking their voice, say my voice, sending it to you, saying, Mike, I've been kidnapped. The ransomers want $10,000. If not, they're going to kill me. You know what I mean?
And
Now,
I'm going to say, I'm sorry.
yeah.
He was a good brother.
We'll miss him. But people like me, from my background, first thing I do is pick up the phone and call somebody. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people in the world that don't have that wherewithal to call and check. They're just like, oh shit, well, let me send the money,
Right.
And so it has, like I said, just any technology has its goods and its bads. Our technology back when we were kids was Commodore 64,
ColecoVision.
Yeah, that was technology back then. Like
it was
freaking IBM mainframe computers that were bigger than my freaking house. And then once
I have to tell you, it's the first computer I ever bought. Where it had, I bought it from the guy that was producing the show in Jacksonville. His name was Joe. And he bought a new computer, and he bought it because the new computer had 8K memory.
Oh, Jesus.
The one I bought for him was a 4K. And so when you think about that now, I mean, at the time we thought it was amazing, but to put it in the overall scheme of things, that was about 25 years ago. 25 years ago, compared, how quick technology is turning, is a fart in the wind.
Dude, by the time you get a new phone, it's already obsolete a month later.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, some of the stuff
but they build them that way, Mike.
The room I do this out of. Yeah. So it's but AI, it's because the guest I had on today is introducing a finance protocol, a finance with one of our business incubators here in town, and he's got a program that they're going to partner on, and we got to talking about AI, and we both agreed, AI is scary as hell and fascinating as hell at the same time.
Amen.
It really is. So
just like hookers.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I have to tell you something real quick. When Ronnie reached out to me at the beginning of the week, and I was already suffering from this mess, he said, "Hey, what do you want to do?" Or we were talking about what we want to do. So he sent me something to the effect of things that were legal back in the day that aren't legal today, and
due to safety issues.
So in my med-induced mind, I fired back, I'm going to go with unprotected sex.
Yeah, Michelle and I got a kick out of that.
I'm rolling with that one. See how that goes. Oh, God.
Well, here we are at 33 minutes. So we just kind of babbled on here, but we have fun. Mike's
we'll be better prepared next week.
Mike's going to be sick, so we'll just go ahead and blame it on him.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll do a better promos this week. Actually have a topic of conversation, and every week, man, we ask you guys the same thing. Send us some stuff. What do you want to talk about? What are some of the things that you remember that, hell, for that case, might jog our memory of, oh my God, that's right, I remember that. So feel free, if you watch it now, you watch it later, you can leave comments. Mike can see them, I can see them. Get us some information. But we do appreciate you guys joining in, whether you're watching us now or watching us later on. And God bless and love you all.
Love you all. See you next week.
All righty.
Bye.